exams and our finals, we must revise as many papers as we can so that we can try and get through the 2-hour paper. Read all the instructions carefully, answer all the questions. We do not leave blanks. Grade 12s. Start each section on a new page, roll off after each section, number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in this question paper. Leave a line after each answer. Pay special attention to spelling and sentence construction. Suggested time allocation. Our comprehension is 50 minutes. We recommend that you read 3 times to understand so that you can be able to skim, to scan, and to comprehend. Our section B, which is our summary, is 30 minutes. Our section C, which is our visual literacy and language editing, is 40 minutes. Let's write neatly and legibly, please, for the exams. Let's see what the June paper held for us, our May-June paper. Let's see what it held for us as it was written just recently. All right, we have our question 1, which is text A and text B. The title of our comprehension was Humble Leaders Array by Thomas Chamorro Premusic. Few people contest the idea that humility is a desirable leadership quality. However, ask those same individuals to name a famous leader, and their choices will likely reflect the reverse, that the most emblematic and conventional leaders exude arrogance and self-importance rather than modesty or humility. How do we explain this incongruity? Let's go to our first questions that were based on our paragraph 1 as we were opening the comprehension. Our first question said that emblematic, according to the glossary, is being representative or symbolic. All right. Now, our question says 1.1, refer to paragraph. Memo is another term for an autobiography. Provide a definition of the word humility in line 1. Humility is to be modest. This is modest. It's to be modest. That's what we mean. That's modesty at its best. So, not making yourself more important than others, that's humility as well. That's why I call it to be modest. Refer to paragraph 1. Explain in your own words what the writer states about current leaders. We just read this now, and I believe he used very strong diction there. It says, no, we go to paragraph 1 quickly. It says, he says, conventional leaders exude arrogance, which means they're selfish. So those are the words that are coming out there. Selfish, self-centered, he said. And as a result, that's what he means, exude arrogance. So those are the things that he's bringing in when he's talking about the current leaders. So as such, when we're coming in, you had to understand the diction words of what he meant, because that's a diction question, to say what are they when it comes to leadership. And I believe those are the things that he gave. When we're talking about arrogance, we are talking about the issue that they value their own worth or importance. So that's when we're talking of selfishness, self-centeredness, and value their own importance and prioritize themselves. So any of those answers were acceptable. We go on to the next question, which says, discuss the contrasting views presented by the writer in paragraph 3. Let's quickly go to paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 says, employees are largely aware of their benefits of having a humble leader. Humility enables leaders to understand their own limitations, take into account others' opinions, and be sufficiently self-critical to attempt to change. In contrast, when leaders lack humility, they are prone to making avoidable mistakes, blaming others for their poor decisions, and overestimating their own talents to the point of losing touch with reality. Our question required us to discuss the contrasting views which are presented in paragraph 3. So our contrasting views are coming on line 10 to line 14, whereby it's talking about understanding humility in leaders. So leaders who have humility are what is this one? Understand their own limitations. When it says understand their own limitations, it means that they know the extent and their capabilities. Take into account others' opinions, that is democratic, be sufficiently self-critical to attempt to change, which means they will view themselves, evaluate themselves. I believe those are the things who have self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is clear here. We're also talking about knowing their strengths and weaknesses. That's coming in as well. That's a first view. Whilst in the contrast, those who lack humility are prone to making avoidable mistakes. That's arrogance, which means they do not take advice, overestimating their own talents to the point of losing touch with reality. That's arrogance, losing touch with reality. It means, what is this one? They, if it says they are prone to making avoidable mistakes, it means that they will make deliberate mistakes that can be avoided. That can be avoided. They do not do self-evaluation so that they can change and make an improvement. Those are the contrasting views that were given there of the two types of leaders. We go to the next one. It says, account for the use of the rhetorical question in paragraph 4. Okay, it's a one-line paragraph, I believe. Why would we not want a humble leader? This is thought-provoking. We call this thought-provoking. Account for the use to provoke thought in the reader. To provoke thought in the reader. To evaluate the type of leader. To evaluate the type of leader they might want in power. All right. The writer's tone in paragraph 5. Let's go to paragraph 5 and identify the tone. It says, although we tend to value humility, we are seduced more by other qualities. When faced with a choice to nominate or elect a leader, humility does not actually feature high on our priority list. In fact, there are critical pitfalls which explain why we rarely end up with humble leaders. Although we tend to value humility, we are seduced more by other qualities. It does not actually feature high on our priority list. Critical pitfalls, he says. So is it forceful? Is it argumentative? Is it assertive? Or is it persistent? It's very argumentative because he gave two sides here. On the other hand, we value this, but when we are faced to nominate, we are faced with this. So it's definitely a B. It's argumentative. So our answer is a B here. We are on B. All right. That's where we are. And then it says, is the writer objective in paragraph 6? Motivate your response by close reference to this paragraph. Remember, objectivity, facts must be given. All right. Let's see in paragraph 6 what he said. There is a pervasive tendency to select leaders on the basis of their confidence rather than competence. This is why overconfidence is far more common than humility in leaders. The overlap between confidence and competence is just 9%, when our main criterion for appointing leaders is how good they think they are. There may be some who fake arrogance or external confidence while being internally modest or at least self-critical. But for each such person, we'll attract 10 who are simply deluded about their talents. coaching the arrogant to be humble will be harder. He says, is the writer objective in paragraph 6? Close reference to this paragraph. We have statistics. I saw statistics here that shows objectivity, which means something valid, which has been proven. So we're talking of being proven correct by statistics. So we're going to use that as well as part of our answer. Statistics show it's proven. So those are the things that we are getting there. And as a result, that gives validation and evidence. So those are the answers that we might be playing around when answering such questions. With reference to one example, discuss how the writing style in paragraph 7 reinforces the role of charisma in leadership. Paragraph 7 says, we are seduced if not blinded by charisma. When it comes to leadership, all style and no substance will get one further than no style and all substance. We gravitate towards entertaining showmen who are fearlessly charming in high-stakes settings. The problem is not that we find this enchanting, but that we equate it to leadership talent. This does not mean that charisma is toxic per se. Rather, it is an amplifier. It says, making competent leaders better and incompetent leaders more destructive. Charisma magnifies the impact good and bad leaders have. The question said is, discuss the writing style in paragraph 7. Opinionated. This is his opinions. And as a result, we must specify the issue that we are saying. He uses his opinion on generalizing. He is generalizing on what happens when we are charmed by leaders and are blinded by their charm. This is he says toxic per se. When he say per se, and he talked about we are seduced, definitely that is what we call an opinionated writing style. So it's reinforcing the fact that it always becomes a disadvantage for us who are being led, because we are failing now to differentiate between the right leadership and what has been sold to us at face value. Okay, we go on to the next question, which is discuss the writer's assertion we are too lazy to evaluate talent. Line 36 in the context of paragraph 8. Let's go to paragraph 8. We are too lazy to evaluate talent. One of the paradoxes of talent is that as humans evolve to acquire more sophisticated and complex skills, talent becomes harder to judge. Indeed, throughout most of our evolutionary history, talent has consisted of easily observable physical traits. But when it comes to leadership talent, we are mostly clueless as to how much of it people have. So it says, discuss his assertion that we are too lazy to evaluate the talent in the context of paragraph 8. Humans become more advanced when it comes to development. So talent now becomes very difficult to identify and weigh and criticize. So now when it says we're too lazy to evaluate talent, it says we are clueless to what's the extent of the talent the person has in leadership, and therefore we are failing to distinguish. I believe the assertion is that we are failing to distinguish between the extent of the talent or the depth of the talent and what we are given now as a character and a human who's evil, who's developed in his skills that he has. Therefore, there is a failure to distinguish between the actual skill and the actual talent of the person. This assertion is failure to distinguish the two. Comment on the writer's repetition, that's 1.9, of the pronoun we in the concluding paragraph. That's paragraph 11. So if we're seriously interested, okay, in having more humble leaders, we should start by simply addressing and preferably reversing these pitfalls. We need to understand that arrogance is only strength if we are not intimidated by it. Rather, we should accept that in the 21st century reality, the essence of leadership is not hypermasculine, not that it ever was. Okay, so we're coming in and talking about this one. Okay, what are we saying? We should accept repetition of the pronoun we. It's definitely, we are coming into the issue that it's emphasizing. But what is it emphasizing on? It is emphasizing on us taking part, the reader taking part and taking action, in also being part of identifying the difference between humbly leaders and arrogant leaders. So as a result, it's an emphasis. The question said, comment on the writer's repetition of the we in the concluding paragraph. It means he's including the writer in coming up with a solution as well. So as such, he's made the reader part of the solution that he's coming up with, which means it's not his own solution, it's a universal solution for all of us. That's an inclusive technique, and it's emphasizing on how we should be part of the change as well. Let's go to text B. Rudy, I loved your memo. It was fascinating. The way you overcame huge odds to invent the computer, how you went on to protect us from government surveillance. You know, none of it is true. The way you saw yourself to humility, people so want to believe a good story. Provide, no. Let's go to our questions. It says, with close reference to the woman's body language in frames 1 and 4, discuss her attitude towards Rudy the man. We are looking at frames 1 and 4. Okay, it said with close reference to the woman's body language in frames 1 to 4. In frames 1 and 4, discuss her attitude towards Rudy. Okay, body language is face turned away from Rudy, uplifted shoulders, tense, and then frame 4, scowl on a face, facing Rudy this time, and all right. So it says discuss her attitude towards Rudy. Rudy, I loved your memo. Discuss her attitude towards Rudy. Okay. Oh, we are looking at this one. Frame 1, frame 4. Frame 1, we are looking at her. Okay, now I understood the question. We're looking at her, and she is eagerly facing Rudy, and a happy smile on her face. In frame 4, has turned away from Rudy, and has even closed her eyes, which shows her disappointment. Her attitude at the beginning is enthusiastic, but it becomes disappointed at the end, and that's why she turns her face away. So there were contrasting attitudes there, definitely. And then comment on what is revealed about the men in frames 3 to 4. You know, none of it is true. People so want to believe a good story, deceiving. That's what we mean. Deceiving, and as a result, when it's deceiving, there's no humility there. I believe we're talking about lack of modesty, and as a result, confidence, overconfidence, which led to deceiving people. Arrogance is also coming in. Incompetent, and as a result, there is no depth of the talent there. Those are the things that are coming in at the moment. So as a result, there was no humility, there was arrogance. Critically discuss the extent to which text B supports paragraph 9 and 10 of text A. Let's go to paragraph 9 and 10 quickly. We equate arrogance to strength. Although we often fail to detect irrational arrogance, we're usually able to determine whether people have a positive view of themselves, especially if their egos seem large. It is as if we are amateur poker players, impressed and intimidated by someone boasting and showing off, even if they are blatantly lying. Indeed, while we celebrate and glorify arrogance in men to the point of equating it to leadership talent, we are repelled by it when it is found in a woman. This suggests we are more likely to screen out incompetence and imposters among females rather than male leadership candidates. If our goal is to end up with more humble leaders, we should stop celebrating arrogance in men. Okay, it says text B, we have Rudy. Yes, very true. Intimidation, impressed and intimidated by someone posting and showing off. They are blatantly lying. I believe that's what Rudy has done. So there's the connection. You must find the connection when you come to each paragraph. You connect, and then that's when you are going to be able to make the connection. Blatantly lying, that's what Rudy did. So as a result, he's an imposter. The word imposter is applicable to Rudy at this moment. And as a result, that's where we're saying he doesn't value humility. And as a result, he's deceiving. And as such, he's unfit for leadership. There's the connection. You must be able to find a connection there. We move on to our section B, which is summary writing. Question 2 says, summarizing in your own words. Text C discusses the value of being resilient. Summarize in your own words the benefits of being resilient. Flashback, we always are given the highlighted words as the question. So which means we're taking nothing else besides the benefits of being resilient. Our instructions are very clear. Our summary should include 7 points and not exceed 90 words. You must write a fluent paragraph, and you are not required to include a title for your summary. Indicate your word count at the end of your summary. You do not exceed the word limit. Please, let's confine ourselves to the 90 words, because in 7 points, you must have a fluent paragraph. Connect your paragraph so that you can maintain fluency. Use connectors. When we talk of connectors, we're talking of things like firstly. These are things that can be used to create fluency for you. You can touch on firstly. You can touch on furthermore. You can use it to connect. You can touch on lastly. So these are examples of what we call connectors to maintain fluency. Instead of you having a start and stop summary, whereby you're writing point 1, stop, point 2, stop. So you must create a fluent paragraph. And therefore, those are some of the suggestions. They are not the only ones that can be used. Our title was Resilience, a Vital Trait. That was text C. And as such, we are supposed to find only the points that are touching on benefits of being resilient. Let's begin. Life may not come with a map, but everyone will experience twists and turns, from everyday challenges to traumatic events with more lasting impact. Each change affects people differently, yet people generally adapt well over time to life-changing situations and stressful situations, in part thanks to resilience. We do not have anything in that opening paragraph that is giving us the benefit of being resilient. So as a result, we are not taking anything from there. Please note, it's not all the time that you will have the first point coming from the first paragraph. Some summaries do have the first point in the first paragraph, but some summaries do not start with the first point in the first paragraph, but you can find them as you go further along in the summary. So if there is nothing, you move and go look for something until you find it. I believe our points were starting from maybe the second one. It says, like building a muscle, increasing your resilience takes time and intentionality. Focusing on 4 core components: connection, wellness, healthy thinking, and meaning can empower you to withstand and learn from difficult and traumatic experiences. What is the benefit? You can empower. You can be empowered. That's our point. So our point is coming on focusing on 4 components. That's where our first point is. We start on focusing on 4 components: connection, wellness, and thinking and meaning can empower you to withstand and learn from difficult and traumatic experiences. That's our point number 1 for our summary. So we are coming here and specifying. Let's go to our third paragraph. The pain of traumatic events can lead to some people to isolate themselves, but stronger individuals accept help and support from those who care about you. Some people find that being active in civic groups, faith-based communities, or other local organizations provide social support and can help you reclaim your hope. I believe our point is stronger individuals accept help and support from those who care about you. And as a result, it can help you reclaim your hope. So these are the relevant points in that third paragraph. Promoting positive lifestyle factors like proper nutrition, ample sleep, hydration, and regular exercise can strengthen your body to adapt to stress and reduce the toll of emotions like anxiety or depression. Resilience allows you to acknowledge and accept your emotions during hard times. We are taking that as our relevant point as well. But it is also important to help you foster self-discovery by asking yourself, what can I do about a problem in my life? Problems that seem too big to tackle should be broken down into manageable pieces. Individuals should develop realistic goals and do something regularly that enables them to move towards the things they want to accomplish. Looking for opportunities for self-discovery strengthens one's resilience. We're having our relevant point here. Looking for opportunities for self-discovery. That's our next point. People often find that they have grown in some respect as a result of overcoming challenges. That's a relevant point as well, because you grow when you're resilient. One may not be able to change a highly stressful event, but one can change how to interpret and respond to it. Change is inevitable. Certain goals or ideals may no longer be attainable as a result of adverse situations in life. Accepting circumstances that cannot be changed can help one to focus on circumstances that can be altered. An optimistic outlook empowers people to expect that good things will happen. Being able to visualize what one wants is more constructive than dwelling on what one fears. I believe we're taking this one. Being resilient is accepting circumstances that cannot be changed, can help you focus on circumstances that can be altered. Those are our points that we're expecting. I believe we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. That's our summary, and therefore that's what we are taking. And then let's go to section C. Section C is language structures and conventions, which is analyzing an advertisement. Study the advertisement text deep below and answer the set questions. Before we start the advertisement, we must focus on making sure what you revise in preparation for the exam. 1, please focus on characteristics of advertisements. Please focus on techniques of advertisements. Please revise these things. Please focus on the AIDA principle and revise, because those are what our questions are centered on a majority of times. And therefore, it will help you to call a spade when doing advertising, and you'll be able to understand most of the questions. So as we're coming into our text D, this is what we're facing. Let's go look at what we're having. There are some things you just can't afford to gamble with. When you get a cavity, there's no second chance. That's why it's important that you know that more dentists recommend Crest for fighting cavities than all other toothpaste combined. It's a point that's made rather dramatically when you consider that Crest has prevented 523 million cavities since its introduction in 1955. There are, of course, no sure things in your battle against cavities. but at least Crest helps put the odds in your favor. The dentist's choice for fighting cavities is what we are looking at. Okay, let's go to the questions and see what we're expected to do. Right. Explain how the visual image supports the heading of the advertisement. As long as you are given this word, please describe. Please first describe the image to show knowledge of what you are talking about. You must be able to identify the heading of the advertisement as well to show you understand what they refer to. Now, when we are coming to a visual image in our heading, we are going to go back to the advert quickly. Right. The heading says there are some things you just can't afford to gamble with. That is the title and the heading of the advertisement. What is the connection? Let's go to the image. The image is a tooth that has cavities, but now which is now in the shape of a dice, a gambling dice, because it has holes in it. So it looks like a gambling dice, yet it is a tooth. So now that's the connection that we have between gamble and the tooth itself. So now how does it support the heading of the advertisement? We are saying a tooth with cavities means that you took a risk, did not take care of your tooth, and as a result, it ended up having the cavities and the holes in them. Therefore, which means you took a gamble with your teeth or your tooth. We have to make a connection that we are connecting gamble with the visual that we are seeing. Describe the tooth. Describe what you are seeing in front of you first before you can make a connection to something in the title. Our connection was gamble. This is what we're connecting to when we're talking about looking as if it's a dice, yet it's a tooth. But now we are clear. When you take a gamble with your teeth or your tooth, it means that you will end up having cavities and it looking this way. So you had to make a connection between the two. Please make sure you underline your keywords in your question and try to find out what are the two things that I'm going to talk about. Supports, visual, heading must be specific. Why does the advertiser use the pronoun you or your in the text of the advertisement? We always call that use of pronouns is an inclusive technique. When you say inclusive, it means that he is either the advert is involving the reader and make the reader feel part of the advertisement, which means now it's personal also to the reader. So which means that it's reference now to the reader as well. So which means it's personalizing the message. So which means it's applicable also to the reader. Applicable to the reader as well. So those are the things that we are referring to in including the reader into the advert. So relevant to the reader because it's also incorporating the reader into the advertisement. So that's a personalization or a personalizing technique that they use, an inclusive technique to make you part of the advertisement. Discuss what is conveyed by the advertiser's choice of phrases, more dentists and all toothpaste combined. The comparative form, more, shows us that it's a number of increasing number. We are going to talk about the increasing number of dentists. Increasing number of dentists. And all other toothpaste combined. So when you say increasing number of dentists have given their opinion, have given the same opinion, means that it is valid. Now when we're coming in and say all other toothpaste combined, which means that exhaustion of other products has been done, a comparison has been made, that brings about a comparison. A comparison has been made and therefore a finality has been given to show that validation is there to prove that other toothpaste as well do not match to this one in fighting cavities. So as a result, it means that Crest has been proven, and as such, it is the superior toothpaste that is going to fight cavities. So as such, comparison has been made, conclusion has been drawn. So this is a diction question, and you must now comment on the two diction phrases that are used. More dentists must be commented on. All other toothpaste combined must be commented on as a way of making sure you understand the meaning of the two. As we say, this is proving that validation has been done and the proof is there. 3.4, refer to the written text. When you get, we go back a little bit, it says, when you get a cavity, there's no second chance. All right. And then it says, that's why it's important that you know that more dentists recommend Crest for fighting cavities than all other toothpaste combined. It's a point that's made rather dramatically when you consider that Crest has prevented 523 million cavities since its introduction in 1955. There are, of course, no sure things in your battle against cavities, but at least Crest helps put the odds in your favor. The question says, comment on one technique used by the advertiser to promote the product. Emotive language is jumping out. When we're talking about recommend, when you say recommend combined, which means all measures have been exhausted dramatically. That's another diction word. So emotive language is something that can be used as a strategy here. Use of pronouns, also the you is also a strategy. You, again, emphasis. When you consider, that's another strategy that is used. So you have two strategies that you could have discussed here. And we're talking about, we're also having statistics, 523 million cavities introduced since its introduction in 1955. Recommended toothpaste combined. So we are having facts and statistics. There are three strategies that we can use. One, we are talking of pronouns. That's a first strategy. Inclusive technique, as we have said. You have factual information and stats. That's another technique that is used there. We also are having statistics is also part of it. We're also having emotive language is also there. So strategies are so many. You just needed to discuss one. Pronouns you quote when talking of strategies. Factual information, you give the statistics and the dentists that have been mentioned. Emotive language, as I started, you are going to quote the words and discuss them. So those are the strategies that could have been used. There are some things you just can't afford to gamble with. Rewrite the above sentence so that it does not end with a preposition. You cannot afford to gamble with some things. You just can't afford to gamble with some things. Okay, let's begin with our pronoun you. You just can't afford to gamble with some things. Is that correct? There are some there. Yes. You just can't afford to gamble with some things. We are not supposed to start with we are not supposed to end with a preposition. So now it's in the middle. There it is. Rewrite the above sentence. Yes. So that's a preposition goes into the middle and not at the end now. 3.6, the dentist's choice for fighting cavities. Provide the function of the apostrophe in the underlined word. It's definitely possession belonging to the dentist. So the function of the apostrophe is for possession because it comes at the end of the word. That is our question 3, which is our advertisement. We are going to go to the cartoon now, which is question number 4. Jeremy is the title of the advert that is in the paper. Study the cartoon, text E below and answer the set questions is the instruction. Frame 1, bye mom, thanks for breakfast. Frame 2, oh, and for the really great dinner last night. Frame 3, and for your help editing my essay and my calculus homework. Frame 4, it says, I also appreciate this clean, comfortable home you and dad provide, your financial support and your unconditional love. There's almost nothing more I could ask for. And then almost in frame 6, gratitude is a time suck. I need an excuse not for being late. All right. The boy is Jeremy and the woman is Jeremy's mother. What impression is created of the mother-son relationship as presented in frames 1 to 4? Motivate your response. The mother provides breakfast for Jeremy in frame 1. The mother cooks dinner for Jeremy in frame 2. The mother edits his essay, helps in editing his essay, and helps in his calculus homework. Number 4, she provides a clean and comfortable home for Jeremy, supports Jeremy financially, loves Jeremy unconditionally. Those are the things that are revealed in frames 1 to 4. So what is the mother and son relationship? It's a loving relationship. We are very clear. Loving relationship as the mother supports, provides for the son, provides for the son, is a constant pillar of strength for Jeremy. So those are the things that we are arriving at because we have to give the motivation, motivate your response. Motivation is that's when you can mention, what is this? The dinner, the homework, stability, home, stability, love. So those are the things that the mother is providing for Jeremy to show the loving relationship between mother and son. The son lovingly thanks the mother in return. That's why it's a loving relationship, because it's two ways. It goes both for the mother and for the son as well. 4.2, comment on the mother's reaction towards the son as depicted in frames 5 and 6. In frame 5 and 6, the reaction towards a son is wide open eyes. When she has wide open eyes, I believe we are realizing reaction is shock that Jeremy has left a certain piece of gratitude and did not give it all, because he said almost, she said almost in query of what he has just thanked her for. So now when we bring the reaction, the mother is shocked that Jeremy still has something that he feels is lacking in all the things that she does for him. So as such, when we come to the mother's reaction, we have to describe the body language. We must describe the body folding of the hands, the wide open eyes, we had to describe. And then we had to give the accountability. We must account for why she looks this way. So when we account, we must be able to give the surprise, the shock of her, of Jeremy, not giving the gratitude in full and leaving out something, yet she does everything for him. So that's the reaction in frames 5 and 6. Number 4.3, discuss how the cartoonist uses satire. Remember, satire is criticism and mockery of a certain issue. It says, discuss how the cartoonist uses satire in his presentation of Jeremy. When we say presentation of Jeremy, we are going to satire. What he criticizes is dependence of the children on parents. dependence of the children on parents. And then in the final frame, we realize Jeremy is failing to manage himself because he is late and now wants to find an excuse for being late. Everything it does, it depends on the mother, and therefore he is not independent. As a result, he is dependent on the mother. So this is dependency on the parent. Dependency on the parent for everything. On the parent for everything. Lack of responsibility and independence. Responsibility and independence. Shown by him being late, and therefore he has no excuse for it. So that's a satire. Add the suffix to change support in frame 4 into an adjective. Please revise your dictionary work, because when you have to give suffixes, word forms, you have to know how the adjectival form is supposed to be. The adjectival word which comes from adding a suffix is supportive. So we are going to add the suffix IVE at the end to bring the adjective. We go to 4.5, refer to frame 5. There's almost nothing more I could ask for. Rewrite the above indirect speech beginning with Jeremy said that. We are reporting, so the tense changes to the past. There was, Jeremy said that there was almost nothing. There was almost nothing more he could have asked for. He could have asked for. That's our past tense. The tense changes to past, and therefore the pronouns change. I becomes he as we are reporting. That is our frame 5, indirect speech. That is our last question for the cartoon. We finally go to the difficult section, which is language editing, where you have to find the deliberate errors and then answer the set questions. Text F was entitled On Living in a More Light-Hearted Way. The arguments for approaching life in a grave, serious, and unsmiling mood is overwhelming. We are clearly a profoundly wicked species. Our greed and viciousness knows no bounds. No one gets through existence unharmed, and every day is bad until eventually the worst of all happens. The only people one could imagine smiling through this kind of horror sure will be the still too innocent or the actively deluded. And yet, one of the paradoxical conclusions we might reach is that there might still be a way to live lightheartedly amidst catastrophe, because one can't help but notice that the sky is a delightful azure blue, that there's a Beyonce concert to listen to, and that there's a sweet 4-year-old holding on to her mother's head, asking how ducks sleep at night. Sometimes well-meaning people try to get others to cheer them up by telling them that they are beautiful. Bless such efforts and those for whom they work. But for the rest of us, there might be another way. A strategy based not on sentimentalities, but on staring down the darkness and refusing to let it terrify us. Deliberate errors have been placed, which means you must know your language structures, concord, functions of punctuation marks, direct, indirect speech, ambiguity, form of words, types of sentences was dominating in this paper. Now let's go to 5.11. Correct the concord error in the first sentence. Remember, concord error is a subject-verb disagreement. So the subject and the verb must agree. So if the subject and the verb do not agree, it is called a concord error. Let's go to line 1 to identify the subject and the verb that is disagreeing there. Line 1 says the arguments for approaching life. This is our subject. We have our subject as arguments. For approaching life in a grave, serious, and unsmiling mood is overwhelming. We have our verb. Arguments are. So our verb is in the wrong tense, and therefore it must be an are. So as such, our subject verb agreement is supposed to change to are. That is our Concord error for 5.1. So is supposed to be are. Give a reason for your response to question 5.11, arguments. And the result is in the plural form, and therefore the verb must be plural as well, because this is in the plural form. If you said argument, it must be is, but because the subject is in the plural form, which means the verb must be in the plural form as well. What is the function of the colon in line 2? That's our 5.2. 5.2 says is an overwhelming colon. We are clearly a profoundly wicked species. Our greed and viciousness knows no bounds. Parenthesis, it was giving extra information. What comes after the colon is extra information. So as a result, it's for parentheses. We go on to 5.3. Choose the correct response from the list of options below. No one gets through existence unharmed, and every day is bad until eventually the worst happens. Is an example of a complex sentence, simple sentence, compound sentence, or a complex compound sentence. How many clauses are we having? Unharmed, every day is bad, the worst happens. We are definitely having a compound sentence. This is a compound sentence. Provide the superlative form of the word paradoxical. When we're saying the superlative word, it is the last extreme of comparison, and therefore it means we have most paradoxical. That's the last form of comparison when we say superlative, paradoxical. Give the adjectival form of the word catastrophe, and it becomes catastrophic. That's adjectival form. Description is now coming in. Catastrophic becomes the adjective. Provide the antonym of delightful. It's unpleasant. There's so many. We can take unpleasant. We can take unappealing. Unappealing is also coming in. We can take disagreeable. Any of those is applicable. Remember, antonym is the opposite. Agreeable is the opposite. Sometimes well-meaning people try to get others to cheer them up by telling them that they are beautiful. Explain the ambiguity in the above sentence. Ambiguity must be identified from the subjects. Sometimes well-meaning people, we have well-meaning people try to get others to cheer them up by telling them that they are beautiful. The ambiguity is who is being told they are beautiful. So our ambiguity is here that they are beautiful. Our question becomes who is being told they are beautiful. So we do not know the subject that is being told of being beautiful because we have two subjects in the sentence. We have well-meaning people and the others. So the ambiguity is we're not sure who is being referred to as being told that they are beautiful. The subjects are not clarified clearly and clear. Replace the phrase the rest of us with a synonymous word in the context of paragraph 3. Let's go to paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 says sometimes well-meaning people Try to get others to cheer them up by telling them that they are beautiful. Bless such efforts and those for whom they work, but for the rest of us, there might be another way. For the rest of us, but for everyone. So our answer is everyone. They say it with a synonymous word. So it means we are not going to give a phrase as an answer. So it becomes everyone. That's the synonymous word. Everybody also comes in. It's correct. We have come to the end of our question 5 and to the end of our section C, and finally the end of the question.